taste. Busting makes me feel good.
This is the first time I've sat down and relaxed all day. By the way, I've been going. Hi everybody, welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host Jay Light. Joining me today, my friend, fellow ex-Texan Sarah Afkami.
Hello, I'm always a Texan, Jay. Forever,
you don't live
heart.
there anymore, though. You're ex.
Fair enough.
That's how I am.
Fair enough.
It's specifically Texas, though. I always mention Texas.
Absolutely.
You gotta mention
It's like
Texas.
a way of life, you know? Your heart's just more open and vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. There's just something different about a Texan than a regular Southern person, I
I
think.
agree with that.
So, this is a very timely episode, and I don't often get to do these, so I appreciate you changing tack on me and making me see a movie that I had been planning on seeing, but I didn't know if I was going to get to see it before I left for Scotland, and that is Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Were you worried you wouldn't have time to see it since it was 9 hours of slop?
Yeah. I was like, this is going to be this is a fucking ordeal. This is an undertaking. To sit here for 3 hours and watch this movie, I knew I'd wanted to see it. I like Tarantino. And I was like, I'll wait. It'll be around. It's going to be around when I come back. Or maybe I can catch it in Scotland. But you changed on me, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get on this. I'm going to make this happen. So here we are.
Kudos.
We have both seen it.
Yes.
And we got different opinions on it. We've established that much before we even got on the air.
It's very true.
I wanted to save this for the show. What's your deal?
If you're going to hold people hostage, if you're going to take Americans' hard-earned money that's, being defiled by the minute by the Federal Reserve, whatever, not important, and, ask them to sit for 3 hours and focus, have something to say, have a theme. And I mean, the first 20 minutes, nothing happens. It's pure exposition. I thought I was in a USC film student exhibit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Literally, there was no mystique. There was no mystery. We weren't worried about anyone. It was literally just backstory on a character for 25 minutes straight. When Leo finally cried, I was like, all right, wow, something happened.
I can't tell. This sounds like your main critique with the movie is that it's long.
Well, not only that. Look, it's like
I know it's deeper than that.
It was
but
almost.
That's what you're hitting me with from the jump.
I'll say it was almost like there was a good movie to be had, but he didn't take us on a proper journey. To me, the point of a movie is that satisfying arc of a character thinking they want one thing and then they need something different. Mm-hmm. They grow, they learn through the whole story and all the trials and tribulations. And I'm just like, what were we there for? Like all those scenes of Leo, basically all the scenes of Leo on set for the new Western, mm-hmm. didn't move any of the plot along at all. It was just like, I could just imagine Tarantino behind the camera just jerking off, being so proud of himself.
Well, so here's what I will say about this. And it's interesting that you bring up this because I actually had an argument with my girlfriend in the lobby of the movie theater about basically this exact point, which I have problems with this movie. From the jump, I will say that. I also think it's too long. It's not Tarantino-y in a way that feels like it needs to be more Tarantino-y. Like something just needs to have a jolt of energy to it. Like there's not enough it's not that there's not enough dialogue scenes, or maybe there's not enough of the his trademark violent scenes. But there's just something that felt kind of off about this, and I've been thinking about it more and more. And it's just I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I think the people who are lauding this as an all-time great, they're wrong. I also think it's wrong to say that there is no character development and that there's no theme. I think you're right to say that there's not really a plot There's not really a plot to the movie. But I think that for the people who were focusing on the majority of the time, at least 2 out of the 3, because I can also agree that Sharon Tate is wildly underwritten in this movie, which is such a shame.
I gotta say, Margot Robbie on screen is a delight. Like, that's just like
she's great.
One of the natural wonders of our planet, for sure. Margot Robbie, hello.
I mean, it says a lot that people are loving this movie and being like, she's the heart of the movie, when she literally is just dancing around
hey,
for 90% of her time on screen.
Don't forget when she's watching herself on the screen.
Right.
And she has those cute glasses on. Uh-huh. Oh my God. I was like, I'm sitting here watching another person watching a movie. Like,
I'm in this movie.
It was so meta.
It's very meta.
Well, I'll tell you I think it was just sloppily executed. This is why I think Tarantino, stylistically, like that was really cute with the little montages with like the flickering, signs going on, turning on at dusk toward the end.
Right.
Like I just think that he didn't have enough story turns or plot beats at all throughout, and then suddenly it's like 30 minutes left, and then randomly the narrator comes back after like an hour after not being there.
That jarred me for sure.
Definitely jarring. You're like, oh, hello, narrator.
So here's what I think. The movie. Right before the podcast started recording, you were asking about whose movie is this?
Whose story? Yeah.
This is Brad Pitt's story. This is Cliff Booth's story. By the way, if you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and you're listening to this podcast and you want to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, stop. Because we're going to spoil the shit out of things. Yeah. Because this is a safe space.
I already warned my lawyer, who's actually present.
Oh, good. So we're legally cleared. If you fucking ding-dongs, who I love dearly, thank you so much for listening to the podcast, are mad at me for spoiling anything in this movie.
Spoiler alert.
So this is Cliff Booth's movie. It's a little bit Rick Dalton's movie. It's not really Sharon Tate's movie. It's the kind of thing that, like, it's so fucking cheesy that you're making LA a character in a movie. And I think part of the reason why, I remember when I was leaving the theater, there were some people who were very upset with this movie.
Oh, you're kidding. I didn't see that.
Very, like, as I was leaving, there was a guy who was ahead of us on our procession out who was like, the writing was shit. It was too slow. I hated the characters. This is garbage. And I think that it's more likely that people who live in LA are going to have that reaction to this movie, because this is not a movie for people who live in LA, I don't think.
Fair enough. You're right. Like someone that's like, wow, the glitz and the glamour. Oh my God.
Right.
Oh, the hills. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a gorgeous movie.
Right.
It's well shot. It's pretty.
It's well shot. It's pretty.
It's
I really liked
Brad Pitt on screen, by the way. Every second, I'm like, wow.
Brad
his
Pitt
charisma
is so fucking good.
I feel like
how good is Brad Pitt? Let me tell you, you find out Brad Pitt almost definitely killed his wife.
Yeah,
and you find out early and you don't care.
Okay. You're on board. You're like, yeah, she sucked.
Brad Pitt's throwing immigrants around, destroying cars and making jokes about Mexicans and throwing Asian people into cars. And you're just like, God damn, I want that Hawaiian shirt.
I know. And that dog, his dynamic with the dog was like the best part.
Him talking to the dog was just like, I get that. I love that.
Oh, the dog food. Yeah, look, there were definitely moments. And here's, to be fair, I mean, I've just been really deep in this, like, what is story structure? What makes a movie good and tight?
Right.
Like a good thrust. That's the thing. It was like, yeah, like it's like if you're making out with someone a little. You have like good parts of making out. And maybe they like fondle you the right way, but then there are like hours of them like showing you pictures of their Facebook, or like you have to talk to their mom.
Oh man, yeah, this is kind of like a really awkward first date, where like eventually things get good enough for like, oh, okay, we're gonna fuck on this, aren't we? And then in this movie, the fucking is crazy violence against the Manson family, right. Which what a beautiful scene.
Yes,
great whole sequence. But that's why this movie, it's somebody. I talked to somebody on the phone about watching this movie, and I want to hear what you think about this. So they were like, it's definitely a fairy tale, which I would agree with. Okay. What do you think about it?
I see what they're saying, and I liked the eerie vibe of the girls, the hippie girls, when they would see them, and then once, I mean, I wished it had lived on those, like on the ranch. I love with Lena Dunham. I mean, that whole scene was just that eerie, beautiful, but it came so late. Like I was already not invested.
Right.
by then. Like he had just lost me. I was angry by then. But yeah, I loved the eeriness. I loved. You know what was really memorable
What was that?
when the redheaded ginger that is taking advantage of the. Do you remember her?
Yeah,
name?
Squeaky Fromm.
Yeah,
Played by Dakota Fanning.
Yes.
Completely unrecognizable.
Oh right.
Yeah.
They dressed her up real nice.
Mm-hmm.
So when she kept being with the friend saying, "Tell me if he's coming over. Tell me if he's coming over." There was something very grounded and interesting and eerie, and that mystique. Finally, there was some story intrigue.
Right.
But it was just like, oh, what was that? At least 72 minutes in.
It was. I see. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, this movie is way too. I can't. I don't know how much of this movie I would need to chop out to make it a great movie. But that's the problem. Is there's all of it. It's too. Tarantino really has made a movie at this point that's like it's like so just thick and hearty like a stew, and you can't get rid of anything that without like compromising the integrity of the movie. He would need to almost completely rewrite the movie for it to work and be great in my mind.
I absolutely disagree. I think you first you sit down and you're like, you know what? We get it. Leonardo DiCaprio's character is a has-been. He's depressed. Like, I mean, you could have shrunk those scenes so much to see him lose it, see him do well, cut back to all the goods, to the actual film. It's like, I just think we know Tarantino was a cinephile growing up and he loved Westerns, but it's like, okay, so go have that as a separate hobby. Don't hold your audience hostage to all these. It was just disjointed. It was incredibly disjointed.
It's very disjointed, and I would love to, because you do mention a lot of the story elements and the actual the script you have problems with. So what are some of the elements of that really threw you for this?
Well, again, okay, like get Leonardo DiCaprio crying by minute 10 to 12. Set up, like if it's Cliff's story, set up what his life was like before. You know, I think live in Cliff's world more and faster.
Yeah, the only flashback we get to really see of Cliff is when he's doing the whole stuntman thing with Kurt Russell.
And that quick cutaway with the boat. And that's it.
That's it.
And so, I mean, I understand maybe we're trying to like hide the ball, but it just, I mean, look, again, Brad Pitt earns so much love just by his sheer charisma.
Right.
That it's hard to criticize, but it's like, yeah, like, I guess I didn't know who I was rooting for. I didn't know I just didn't feel guided. Like, I didn't feel like there was a point. It felt very meandering the whole way through.
Definitely meandering. I mean, literally, probably a solid 30 minutes of the total movie's running time is just Brad Pitt driving around LA listening to the radio.
Right.
Which, by the way, I mean, I don't mind. I'll watch it, but it's a lot. I don't need 30 minutes of it.
Right.
I don't need 30 minutes of radio commercials and Brad Pitt just like, I should have fucked that hippie girl when I had the chance. I don't need that.
Or when Sharon Tate picks up, actually my friend Brianna Wing, I mean like acquaintance from somewhere, some improv thing. She was in it. You know, Sharon Tate picks up some other girl.
Yeah.
And then drops her, remember?
Is that your friend?
Yeah, I mean, again, friend loosely. We're friends on Facebook, but hey, Brianna.
That's still friends. That counts in
tight
modern day.
Yeah, especially in LA, right?
Yeah. I don't know if you knew this. Brianna actually is an avid listener of the podcast and was so excited when I told her that you were going to be on.
I'm going to believe you. I'm going to pretend like what you're saying is real. Great girl. And actually, we did some improv together somewhere around UCLA, and she's very talented, so way to go. But yeah, we were just talking about, also how much content we really got the sense, we're like, we get it. It's in the 60s.
Right. There's a lot of very definite, okay, yeah, you're in the 60s. There's, okay.
Like how much content? There were, like someone did count, like another film critic counted how many other shows and movies were conveyed. It's like, again, back to like...
There's an AV Club article, I think, and they did like the annotated Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right.
Where it's just like, all right, how many references to things did we get in here?
Right.
The biggest problem I have with this movie is that it's hard to imagine a world now where people don't come to LA and then be like, this is the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood tour. Let's take a bus. Let's drive around. Let's go to Mousson Frank. Let's go to the Fox Theater in Westwood. Let's see all this cool stuff that was glamorous Hollywood in the movie. And then they're going to come to LA and they're going to see that Hollywood is trash. Which is why I think that's why I say I think it's a movie made for people who don't live in LA, because we know that the glitz and glamour no longer exists. And there's a part of like being transported, quote unquote, back to that time period that at least for me, I was like, okay, come on.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah, kind of like almost like our cynicism wouldn't let the suspension of disbelief like kick in.
Right.
Yeah. You're right. I was wondering to myself how much of this, I was hungry. Always fuel up, have a protein shake before you go to this movie because it will feel long. That's the thing. You're like, oh, it's Tarantino. He has such a brand, Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
I grew up on Reservoir Dogs. Like it's, you put your trust, basically when you sit in a theater, you're opening your skull up and being like, take me somewhere.
Right.
Show me your viewpoint, your vantage point on life. Tell me something about the human condition. Make me look at something differently. Like help me get in touch with a feeling of my own that I haven't felt. Like why did I try to fondle that girl and like whatever it is. I mean, baggage. But I put trust in him and I felt betrayed. And look, we get it. You love feet. He had great shot. Tarantino really knows how to shoot the beauty of a woman. Like some of those, I mean, his cinematography and his angles, right?
Really good camera work. But also definitely there's so much feet in this movie.
He really does have a foot fetish. I've known that.
Oh yeah.
As a Texan, I've known that
as well. Don't worry. I know the rumors about him sleeping in a footbed, of course. Foot-shaped bed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Am I allowed to say that? I think we're good. It's a rumor. It's hearsay. Allegedly. Allegedly. There we go.
Tarantino allegedly loves the feet of young women, but of age.
Of age. Well, yeah, of course. Always of age. That's the thing. He did Brad Pitt was like, how old are you? There's a lot of stuff in this movie that definitely feels Quentin Tarantino is showing that he's like trying to stay as woke as Quentin Tarantino can be, which is still not that woke.
Right.
But still moments like, are you of age? Yeah. Are you actually 18? And then the girl, the little actress girl being like, I don't like it when you call me Pumpkin Puss. I don't like nicknames like that, but we'll talk about that later on. Because clearly in the subtext is because clearly you're a broken man who's like sobbing while reading a book and describing how it's actually your own life.
Right. That hippie girl, do we know her name? That actress?
If I had my phone on me, I would look it
Pussycat.
up.
We'll look her up later. I'll look in a second, but
what?
Oh, she was just hot.
She was, and she was. There was a lot of. That's the thing. It feels like there was. Do you remember when they announced that this movie was being made? That it was everybody was like, Tarantino's announced he's making his 9th movie, and it's going to be about the Manson family, and it's going to be set in that time. And originally, do you remember any of the original plot details from the script? Because I was looking it up beforehand. So originally, it was going to be set, and it was going to follow the Manson family a little bit more explicitly. And Brad Pitt was cast as the detective who is investigating the case.
Oh,
and I think I also was hoping it would be something in that vein. Like, I had no idea what to expect other than a solid movie. That was all I knew.
Right.
I saw I heard there was going to be a lot of foot shots. I heard there was going to be that Brad Pitt was real fucking juicy and tasty in it.
Yeah.
But I didn't, that was it. And I watched that movie and I walked away disappointed, but like I enjoyed it, but I was also definitely disappointed. Like I can't deny that that's how I feel about this movie.
Right. And I mean, I think the most satisfying movies, even the most minor characters, speak to the theme.
Right.
So for instance, that friend, Roman Polanski's friend, the male friend that was in love with
Jay Sebring.
Right.
Yes.
Did he, he had just a tiny arc, set something up, pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't enough setups and payoffs. So much setup, only to get like a rushed 30-minute ending with a cheesy ass narrator.
Right.
That comes out of thin air and we don't even know who the fuck it is. Like, it's like, what? I feel like it really was a film student that like ran out of time. He was like, oh shit, I've been sitting around jerking off and like diddling my own asshole. And now I have to like come to the end of the point of the movie that I promised to deliver.
You gotta stay awake in those edit bays. So you gotta do whatever it takes. It's dark and sad down there.
I just really feel like it was like, whoops. And then this happened and then this and then a blowtorch. And it's like, you're a fucking professional with a $60 million budget. Suck my strap on, Tarantino. Don't be such a fucking hack.
Man,
My,
feisty.
my lawyer said I could say that.
There you go. That's allowed. That's allowed. It's opinion. It's it's not libelous. Here's the thing. I think I was wrong when I said something earlier about like you can't really dissect parts of this movie to make it work. I have been thinking more about me saying that, and I absolutely have changed my tune.
Great.
Here's what you do.
Okay.
The movie is Cliff Booth's movie.
Yes.
For the most out of anybody, it's his movie.
Yes.
So you have him be what I was expecting based on the trailers was that he was going to join the Manson family.
Right.
And so you either go hard that direction,
right,
and have that happen and cut out all the other bullshit. You don't really need Rick Dalton to show up other than for a few lines. You can have him have a few scenes together to show like you can tell the story of like somebody aging and not knowing what their place in the world is anymore without having two dudes who are basically having that same arc.
Right. I mean, it was like, to me, Rick Dalton was, he had such a position of power compared to Cliff. And it's like, okay, great. So if we're seeing it through the eyes of Cliff, we can see that there's this narcissist up his own ass, and Cliff has to be kind of his like gopher and basically just total concubine, minus the sex. Just a total slave to him, driving him around, fixing his cable.
Fixing his house, fixing his antenna.
Right. And so, by the way, did you notice how Brandy, the dog, was like so settled in Rick's house? I thought that was kind of interesting. But I
mean, she just needs space to run around because Cliff and Brandy live in a sad Airstream trailer behind a fucking drive-in in Van Nuys.
Right. See, I think set up Cliff's life more immediately. And then see Rick through the lens of Cliff, and see that he's just living in someone's shadow who's depressed and up his own ass.
Yeah,
because he's gonna have to go do movies in Italy, which in his mind, Italian movies are like the kiss of death.
That's the thing. Rick is like, this is terrible, and Cliff's like, this is a pretty fucking good. Like, I want to be a stuntman again. Come on, please, let's go. Stop crying in front of the Mexicans. We have to get over yourself.
Right. And that took literally 30 minutes just to get to that. So those first, I like the tone. I'll tell you, I like the tone.
Yeah.
I like that it had a light touch to it. Like there was something it was fun. It's just, I like fun with a point and with a tight story because you know what? It's 2019. Allegedly, we only have like 10 years left on the planet. So
yeah, something like that.
Speed it up, man.
So what are you? Let's talk about Quentin Tarantino himself for a minute, for the man himself, because he's gotten a lot of criticism about this movie specifically, and that's the thing. All the people who are criticizing him are specifically criticizing like the fact that he didn't give Margot Robbie a lot of lines. That's like the main critique. Is I remember when this premiered at Cannes, there was a big news story that came out that was basically he was a press conference and some journalist was like, why didn't you give Margot Robbie like any lines in this movie? And he's like, I don't think that her story needs to be told with lines. Which, watching the movie, I see what he means by saying that.
Well,
she's just like the idea. She's just like the fun jiving, like the 60s were fun. Oh, well, look at what a great time we were all having at the Playboy Mansion. And I get to dance around and listen to records and fold laundry.
Yeah, I mean, but why not give like a little bit of an arc?
I'm with you.
Just anything. I don't care what it is. Like, give a little depth to this human being.
Right. That's the other thing, and I'm with you on that because I want to know more about Sharon Tate than just her being like, I'm just a sprite. Yeah. I'm just like, everything's great.
Right.
Everything's cool.
Or don't set up so much. Like, there's that playwright that says like, if you introduce a gun in the first act.
Chekhov.
Exactly. Chekhov. And then he's like, let's shoot the gun at the end. So
right.
There were so many things that weren't shot at all, like as far as that metaphor goes.
Right. Except for Tarantino's wad over all that feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Blowing his load all over the edit base. So, but yeah, I can see why he was like, I don't see your fucking point, because he clearly designed the movie in a way for her to be this symbol and not really be he's trying to make her this larger than life character by not making her feel grounded.
I'm
which
okay
is a
with that.
yeah,
But in that case, the people that orbit her, again, like that friend,
right.
who, and then remember they set up at the party that little love triangle, and like the other guy was stuck on him,
Yep.
on her, and
Yep.
then Roman stole her,
Right.
and that was it, and all this. But they're still all inseparable. Why tell us all of that only to have
To
it
do
just
nothing with it. Yeah.
Oh, except they invited Rick Dalton up at the end.
Right.
Spoiler alert. But like, it just felt like you just left almost like, you've seen all these hot women, you've watched Brad Pitt do all this cool shit, and then you're almost like, I really genuinely left amped up in that. I was blue-balled. I feel blue-balled by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. You know what? I felt a little bit blue-balled too. It was definitely, it was like a bad first date. Fuck. Oh my God.
And we don't put out. No, it's just a more bad glimpses of good. Like, you're like, oh, this is an interesting person. Like, I don't want to ghost them forever, but like,
it's like, I hope he got something more to say. I heard good things.
I have heard great things.
Everybody says you're a great guy. Your profile seemed cool. You seem really hip. You like, old shit. You're fancy. Like, you wear a lot of vintage clothes. I mean, you're a movie guy who, okay, this seems kind of cool. You're a little racist, which like I can get past on the first date.
Because it's a period piece. You were doing it ironically.
Right.
It really is. I mean, I was originally a film major at UT.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually the cinephiles, like those pompous people that are like, oh, it's a Fellini film.
Right.
And like they are so self-congratulatory and pompous just for seeing a film.
Right.
That's why I switched out. Because I was so it's like literally I felt like I was hanging out with all of them again.
Yeah, well, it's like it's so obvious that Tarantino, and I've seen it in other interviews since the movie's been released, where he's been like, yeah, it makes me sad that all these young people who are seeing this movie don't get this reference to Hullabaloo that I'm throwing in here, or these references to spaghetti westerns. This is like, yeah, what do you fucking expect, dude?
Honestly, I think he's mixing things up. It's like, tell a good, concise, tight, and compelling. Stay compelling.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose, like the golden rule is don't be boring.
Right.
It's like, but stand up. You can make a point. You can have all these like references, but you have to be funny. And it's like he basically just broke the covenant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to be in director jail. I'm sorry.
I mean, look, he's only got one movie left that he's planning on making. That's he's a guy who's long said, I'm going to make 10 movies and then I'm out and then I quit forever.
Well, good, because he doesn't seem to have anything to say.
He's got his last movie is
Good.
coming out.
Okay, well, I hope that it has more of a point. I'm sorry that I like a point. The motion picture industry isn't just to like look at hot girls. Like we have YouPorn now. We don't need to pay $15. I paid the kids amount, whatever. $13.
How do you pay kids price to get into an R-rated movie?
I don't know. I was surprised they let me.
That's why I do AMC stubs. I just take care of it. But I'm kind of interested to see what he does with his next movie, because the big rumor, like capital R rumor, is it's going to be Star Trek. And he's going to make an R-rated Star Trek movie.
I've heard that.
And I would be fascinated to see that, because I don't think it would have a point. I think it'd be a total popcorn blockbuster, which I've never seen him do a movie like that.
Right. He's so good at doing mesmerizing sequences. There is a hypnotic element to his filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he should have the humility to know that he doesn't know how to write a proper story. There's just a shape to a satisfying story. There are bookends. It's just a way that, like...
Well, I don't know about not telling a satisfying story.
Well, this one in particular,
yes.
It was bloated. It was so... I think there was like 2/3 of one movie and another third of an entirely different film.
I'll agree with you on that for sure. I wish that this movie had just been... if the primary focus was on Cliff Booth, and it told his story efficiently and effectively, and it had some more Manson family stuff in there.
Yes.
And get in some of the creepiness. You give Sharon Tate a little bit more body and don't have most of her screen time be her watching herself in a movie theater.
Or dancing.
Yes. I don't mind the dancing. I mind the parts where she's just like,
when you're
these people
squandering.
are reacting to me.
Yeah, like one of that. That self-indulgence it reeked of self-indulgence.
Oh, it's so self-indulgent.
And I don't look. I mean, obviously there isn't. It's like I don't know if you're with all those stars. Maybe you really can't tell what's critical to the story you're trying to tell,
right,
and what's not. So I guess I just expected him to be able to objectively be able to discern between what's relevant and what's not, and cut the fat.
What I really wish is that I had never moved to LA and just had lived in Texas for 7 years and was watching this from that standpoint, because then I'd probably be like, oh, a masterpiece. Oh, bravo. Bravo, Quentin.
You're saying you wish you hadn't taken the red pill. Too late, brother.
Yeah, I'm too far down this rabbit hole. I'm already in.
I like how you're that devoted to wanting to like the movie that you're willing to like go retroactively sliding doors.
But see, this is the thing. It's like that's why I feel so disappointed, is because I went into this movie being like, I never saw Hateful Eight, but Quentin Tarantino has made a lot of movies that I really love.
Right. Inglourious Bastards,
Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Django. Love these movies.
Kill Bill. Iconic movies.
And this is,
and kudos to him. I'm not trying to shit on him.
Right.
Just the story.
This movie just felt off. And I don't think I think that's the thing that's throwing me. It's like, sometimes you find out that somebody who you like can also do something bad, right? Like sometimes you find out that like the person who you respect creatively is like capable of fucking up. And you're like,
or being a pedophile.
Oh
whatever.
man, what have I done? What happened?
Right.
Well, this is his first movie also produced without Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Because, as soon as that happened, he was like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Right.
We're gone.
And that's why he moved to Sony, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I mean,
it's a shift. This is Quentin Tarantino having a midlife crisis.
It really kind of is. Yeah, with all the hot girls, emphasis on that.
Right.
Well, I will also say, I didn't realize that apparently Brad Pitt is older than Leonardo DiCaprio. Is that I would need to fact check it. Someone told me that at a party last night. And I don't know why I just mentioned that. I was at a party, guys.
Sarah is well known in the industry circles.
It was actually.
It was at the Playboy Mansion. No, Steve McQueen was there. Mama Cass was there.
We were watching The Bachelorette. Ironically, actually, it was a whole ironic thing at this producer's house. But the point is, someone was saying Brad Pitt's younger than Leonardo DiCaprio. And I was like, if that's the case, how would Leo's reps even let them be side by side? Because I thought Brad Pitt looked like, just to do what men do to women and reduce people to objects for a moment. Like,
right.
Brad Pitt blew Leo out of the water from an aesthetic standpoint.
I mean, you've never heard of Brad Pitt having dad bod. That's all everybody talks about with Leo, is that he's got dad bod.
Right. I mean, Brad Pitt
is fucking chiseled.
Oh, and his posture is excellent.
I mean, think of if Quentin Tarantino not even just talk about Quentin Tarantino knowing how to shoot a woman. Quentin Tarantino knows how to shoot a fucking good-looking dude.
And
the way the light glinted off his abs and reflected like a prism.
By the way, I love how like the opening line was Brad Pitt basically saying like, "Yeah, I carry his load," and I'm like, "All right, maybe the like Hollywood will have a little bike."
Oh yeah, I also thought there was definitely going to be some.
Yeah, there was like foreshadowing for that.
Yeah,
that's America though. Some weird, sterilized, boring version of everything, right?
Right. That's why this movie's not made for LA people, because we know that we can see the flaws.
Yeah, you're right.
If we weren't there, we'd be like, oh, we get swept away in it too. And there are parts that there are times when this movie comes very close to sweeping you away.
Oh yeah.
But it just, then something happens and then you realize it's been 15 minutes and you're like, wait a minute, hold on.
I mean, I had to get to my party, so I was pissed. I was hungry and late for my party.
So be sure you carb up or get a protein shake, sneak in protein bars.
Maybe and bring someone that you really love. Like bring only your real loved ones, because it'll test friendships.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, my girlfriend and I had a big argument in the lobby of this movie theater, and then I was so embarrassed for how much I defended this one plot point that like now I'm like, this is so fucking stupid. And I ran out of the movie theater. because we drove separately, so we could do that.
That's so independent of both of you. Why
Right.
didn't you ride together?
Well, she was meeting friends with hers, and she was going to go see that movie already. She had already had plans, and then when you told me you wanted to talk about this, I was like, "Oh, I can make that movie.
Oh, cool.
I'm going to go to that movie also." And she's like, "Cool, I'll see you there."
Oh, how
And
nice.
then we had an argument, and then it carried on for a couple hours after that.
You're kidding.
Right, but that's that's what this movie does. That's why you need to go with somebody who you love and who you can like salvage things with, because then you're like, oh man, all of a sudden I'm out here defending white guys, and like who knows? That's a dicey place to be.
Right. No, and I love like the Italians. That was cute. I didn't mind any of that. Like I'm from Texas. Like I can,
Oh yeah.
my nickname.
Hey, listen, if I'm going to watch a Tarantino movie and there's no racism in it, then what am I paying for?
Right, and the blowtorch stuff was fun.
Yeah. Who doesn't love seeing honestly, all the fight sequence at the very end. Great.
Yeah, all that
watch-
rushed 30 minutes of plot that should have been in the whole movie.
And the scene in the car where the four Manson family people are talking before they go inside Rick Dalton's house. I mean, that's classic Tarantino screenwriting right there, where it's just like them bullshitting in the car. And I'm just like, this is what I came to see, is scenes like this.
Yeah.
This is the movie.
Right.
We need more of that.
Yeah, and it came so late.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally the last 25 to 30 minutes
Right.
of some action-packed movement.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, although I liked Brad Pitt, the way he was tripping was funny.
Brad Pitt tripping was great.
Yeah, the way the Asian-ish looking woman, I don't know what she was, but the one of the Manson,
Oh yeah.
she was, I mean, that was a little over the top, I thought, with, we should kill the people that
I mean, I think that was kind of the point, though.
Yeah, I know.
But
you're right.
I like over the top for that. But there's a lot of stuff in this movie. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that I watched and I was disappointed by. Excuse me. Oh, man. That's all my negative energy coming out of my mouth in burp form. There's stuff in this movie that I was disappointed by. It was not enough stuff for me to not think this is a good movie. But this movie is solidly stuck. Like, there's a ceiling, and this movie pokes the ceiling of, like, this movie cannot be a great movie in my mind. I don't want to watch it again.
Yeah, especially the theater. There's just, even feeling bad about touching your phone at the theater, it just adds to the oppressive vibes.
Right. I love Brad Pitt in this movie. If there's anybody out there listening who wants to just edit together a supercut where it's like 90, maybe let's go with 100 minutes of Cliff Booth running around, driving around, being sad, and then finding his purpose and actually getting to live the stunts that he always wanted to, then I'll watch that movie.
Well, by the way, what do you think of
Twice Upon a Time in Hollywood?
What about Leonardo DiCaprio with that child? Like, I mean, I didn't really understand. I just didn't fully get it.
Oh,
that may have been when I went and finally bought some popcorn.
Yeah, no, that's just the other version of him. That's just the flip side of Cliff's story. That's the I'm a washed up guy and I don't know my place in Hollywood, and then all of a sudden now I found this reinvigorated energy.
But the child, right before that though, the good performance I got,
right?
But like there was a lot of screen time with the daughter, with the little girl sitting on his lap, right? Before they were talking about the craft of acting, even before that, right?
But it
not
was a little creepy. But yeah,
it was a little creepy. No. Okay, maybe it wasn't.
I don't think it was creepy. I think it's supposed to show that Rick Dalton is a fucking dunce who's like completely checked out,
needy, and
she's
needy
like
and desperate. A little
she's like, this is the new wave. I give a shit about this TV part, and I'm in it, and you need to get on my level.
Step it
he's
up.
trying to step it up.
Oh, that's
and
good.
That's why he starts crying, is because he's afraid he can't, and then he goes and blows his lines and freaks the fuck out in his trailer, which is a great scene.
It was good. You're right. It was good. It was really good. It was just a lot of real estate devoted to just him.
Yes, that's why we can get through so much of that so much quicker than we actually did.
Exactly. Just quick cutaways. Exactly. Like show, don't tell. It was like he was hitting us over the head about Rick being a has-been. It's like, we heard you. We get it. He's thirsty. We feel the thirst.
Right.
We're with you.
We know.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all on the same page here.
Amen. Well, this has been like nothing like what I thought was going to happen when we were like, let's talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I really enjoyed this chat. Me too. Thanks for having me on.
So happy to have you. Where's the best place the listeners can find you if they wanna talk smack or agree with you?
I would say Instagram, just at SAF like Frank, A, M like Mary, I.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And are you working on anything right now? I know you're kind of an accomplished television writer.
It's very kind of you. Thank you. I am developing something with one of my first colleagues from Wilfred. So we are developing a fun concept about an ex-vet dealing with like a string of annoying millennials.
Nice.
And they're all working at a vet affairs office.
Okay.
So it's that fun contrast of like people that have served our country with like missing limbs, and then like an Instagram influencer upset that her post got no likes.
I like it.
Thank you.
No likes, no legs. It's a good name. That you can call it. You can take an episode title for that if you want.
I love
If
it.
you need some consultant. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram. jlightcomedy.com for show dates. And if you're in Scotland, I'm performing here now. I mean, I'm not physically there as I record this episode, but I'm there by the time it comes out doing my 1 hour show, Fake It Till You Make It, every night, 11:45 p.m. at the Place Hotel in Edinburgh. It's part of
gonna be
Edinburgh
great.
Fringe.
He's the funniest guy in town.
Sarah, you're just fucking wonderful. Texas fight never dies. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.